Libby.
And I'm Paula.
And I'm John Sutphin from Capital City Christian Church.
Hallelujah.
Yes, and we're so glad to have him tonight on Table Talk. How are you, John?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
Well,
wonderful.
Thank
wonderful
you
to
for
be
coming.
here with you gals.
Well, good. We're glad that you came. So why don't you just start out telling us, John, where the church is located?
Okay, we're located on Versailles Road as you're heading back out towards the interstate. We sit right between Crossroads Ford and Capital Chevrolet. Church there up on the hill a little bit. Most people know it by the big green roof. Because
So we're going to be a little funny and say, if you don't know if you want to buy a Ford or Chevrolet, just stop into Capital City and pray, and they'll help you decide.
We got good connections at both car lots. So yeah, depending on which line of vehicle you want, we can probably hook you up.
Okay,
Either checking out Dario at Capital Chevrolet or going over to see Marcy at Crossroads
Well,
Ford.
you know what? That's just a reason to come to Capital City.
Well,
It's one of
I haven't used it to my advantage yet, but I haven't been in the need for a new car in a few years, so I'll keep that in mind next time it comes up for that.
You probably will. Okay, well, I've advertised for them, so that's good. So, why don't you tell us about, because I don't even know
What's on
that
his shirt?
What's on,
Yeah, the logo that's on our shirt.
Yes.
You see that around town. I'm sure a lot of people see it on cars. We made it a window decal, but it's a Chi D 24/7. A lot of people see that, think it's an X, but it's actually the Greek letter Chi, which was the first letter in the word Christ. So we came up with this a few years ago. We were bouncing around ideas as far as what the purpose of our church was. We had like 4 or 5 things that seemed like we were always saying, this is our purpose, this is our purpose. And so we finally narrowed it down. We came up with this idea going with this Chi D 24/7. So of course the Chi stands for Christ. The D stands for driven. The 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week. And so that's sort of our purpose. That's our mission at Capital City, is we want to build Christ-driven 24/7 followers of Jesus.
Well, that's wonderful, because you know what, that's really what we should be about, not just going to church on Sunday, but just doing that all week long.
Yeah. A lot of people unfortunately think, well, I did church this Sunday morning, I got in my hour or two, and then I'm good to go. But that's not what Christ calls us to. Christ calls us to a lifelong commitment and a lifestyle that is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I'm not going to say that I live that each and every day. I try my best at it, but I falter. But that's our goal. That's what we're trying to do.
But we're striving to get there.
Yeah, trying our best to be Christ-driven 24/7.
Yes.
I think sometimes people try to make it so complicated when actually, what I have found personally in my own life is that being Christ-driven, being Jesus-minded, is just being in relationship with Him. Talking to Him throughout the day. It doesn't mean you got to be always on your knees or always in some crisis to be talking to Him. You can be excited about your day and thank you, Jesus. It's been an awesome day, and just having a conversation with Him.
Yeah.
And also, I think this too. We do miss it, and we make mistakes. So if we're cross-driven, even if we miss it, and get in a little, I hate to think that we would, in a little road rage or whatever, you can just ask God to forgive you.
Quickly, just like
and you're
that.
back in and you just go on.
Yeah.
But I think that if people would be, say, if we did that, if you got a little road rage with me, John, and then you came and said, Paul, I'm sorry, will you forgive me? I see that as being Christ-driven.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Oh, no doubt.
And then I would say, yes, I forgive you. So that's good.
Or even, at that moment, once you've realized you've done it, maybe John's not around, you say, Jesus, just forgive me for, wow.
Yeah.
I had a temporary moment of whatever there. And then the next time you see John, since you've already received your forgiveness, it's so easy just to come up to John and say, hey, I'm sorry, man, I lost it for a second.
Yeah.
So is that what you're talking about, being Christ-driven?
Well, I think that's a part of it. I think also having, just a compassion for people that you run into, a love like Christ had for people. Everywhere that Jesus went, He was always showing God's love to each and every person. It didn't matter to Him what race they were, what their background was, what their social standing was, what their financial standing was. Jesus was trying to show them what God's love was all about, and trying to show them compassion, and trying to meet the need that they have.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build that kind of person in the people who call Capital City home.
Well, that's wonderful. I like that.
I do too.
And Capital City, just roughly how many people do you run?
We're probably averaging about 850 a weekend. Right now we do the 2 services on Sunday morning, 9:30 and 11 o'clock. The 11 o'clock is probably a little bit larger as far as attendance goes, but it's the exact same thing at both services. But yeah, with that, and then with our student worship on Sunday nights, it's probably in the 850 ballpark.
Well, that's really good. I want to say that I've been there, and it's a very friendly church. Even though it's so big, it's still family feeling.
Yeah.
You know,
Good.
and so I like it. I had some family members that go there, and so it's an awesome place. But I want to get into some of what we was talking about here.
For the
Libby.
show,
Why
yeah.
don't you start off with that?
The ministries that you have, the outreaches that you have, just within your church. What kind
Yeah,
of-
we've got
What's
a handful of things. Basically we have 5 ministries that our church operates with. You have our worship ministry, which basically just oversees all of the stuff that takes place in our Sunday morning worship services. And Steve Smith is our worship minister. He's been with us a couple of years now, just doing a tremendous job with our worship, planning out our worship services and involving the different volunteers from within our church who are either in the band or on the worship team, and then there's multimedia and lights and that whole 9 yards.
So what type of worship do you do? Is it contemporary
I would say
or mixed?
I would say for us it's probably contemporary. We've gone back and forth between, are we blended, is it mixed? It's pretty much contemporary
Yeah.
worship service. We still try to incorporate hymns, but they're hymns, but they're not the hymns like we probably sang
What
40
we
or
used
50
to,
years
yeah.
ago. Yeah. I was talking with somebody the other day about that. Why can't we sing the hymns like we did? I'm like, oh, so you want us to bring an organ back in? Well, no, you don't have to do that. But then the point I tried to make with them, the point I tried to make with this individual I was having the discussion with was, the way we're doing them now is the way this generation is hearing them on the radio.
Yeah.
So yes, it's still an old hymn, but it's just been put to a new rhythm, a new beat.
Right.
And I said, that's the way they're hearing it. So if we went back to the old version,
Yeah.
they're going to stand there like, what are they
that?
singing? What is that?
What is
Yeah,
that?
because it's not at all. One of the things you often hear in churches, the message doesn't change, but the method may. And I think that's the way it is with worship as well.
Yeah,
When the message is still there,
Yes.
the method that we convey it. Bible times it was harps and lyres and tambourines,
Yes.
Um,
I like that. The message is the same, but the method changes.
Yeah.
So it's still the same message. Okay, so you have the worship ministry, and what?
We have worship ministry, we have a fellowship ministry or a family life ministry that basically just oversees all of the extracurricular activities that take place within our church. Whether it's special events that we're doing, Wednesday night fellowship meals, those kinds of things. We have a compassion ministry where we're trying to help different people or different organizations here within our community. We have money that we, because of our people giving, we're able to then support different agencies here in town, like the Avenues for Women, the Franklin County Women's Shelter, the Men's Shelter, the Soup Kitchen downtown.
Excellent ministry.
Just great opportunities there. I think one of the neatest things that we came up with a few years ago in our compassion ministry, it's called Generous Bucket. And so on Sunday mornings at our worship services, we ask people who call Capital City home, if you want to give, there's an offering box that you place your offering in. And then if you have an extra dollar or two, and can just throw it in the generous bucket. And so then we have taken that money and we use it to help with benevolence needs, whether it's in the church or even outside the church.
I like that you just said, if you just have a dollar or two.
Yeah.
50 cents, whatever you have, just $10, don't put a limit on it, so just
Exactly.
throw it in there.
And we've been amazed. We've been doing that for, I guess, going on 3 years now. And just been blown away at the extra giving that people have given. I think right now, this year, just for 2014, we're up to about $36,000
Really?
in our generous bucket fund.
That's really
Now we don't, we have also dispersed about $30,000.
Right.
I got an email today from one of our church members saying, hey, there's this new family that's just moved to Frankfurt. One of them is in really bad health. It's a young couple, really bad health. He's doing. It's not.
That's not
It's not. It's not student teaching. He's in a medical field. He's in a medical field, and so he's doing like his practicum, or I can't think of what the exact term would be. His internship, something along that line. And so they were like, is there any way that we could, help them out? His wife's bad sick. Can we provide him like some gift cards so that, he can just stop at a restaurant on the way home to pick
That's
up
good.
food. And so we went, bought some gift cards and provided them to that
I like
family.
the
He'll be
gift card
provided.
thing. Then you don't have to actually give money.
Yeah, we do that. We give money sometimes based on the need, but a lot of times we try to provide, whether it's paying the bill for them
Right.
or, giving gift cards.
Kroger cards are
Yeah,
great.
we do Kroger
And
cards.
sometimes you got to do it that way, and
Yeah.
it holds them accountable, and it keeps your money going to the right thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what it
exactly.
does too. It takes the pressure off of
Mhm.
people. I mean, they know where to go. They know what their limit is. They know what they can do with it, and
Mhm.
Right.
it's easier. It's just easier on everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We also have our evangelism ministry, which is one of the areas that I work with a lot, where we're, just what can we do to be out in the community sharing Christ, and just a, bunch of different ways that we do that. We've got at Valentine's, we do what we call our Valentine Rose Outreach, where we prepare 400 roses. They'll each have a little card on, and then our students go on the Saturday around Valentine's Day, whatever Saturday it is. Our students then go to like Walmart and Kmart and Kroger and just stand in the parking lot and hand out these little Valentine roses to people.
Oh, that's
And
sweet.
it's really neat. Sometimes we get responses, and I remember we got one last year from this lady who said her husband had just died 7 days before,
Oh,
Wow.
and she knew that I wasn't going to get any roses this year for Valentine's
That's
Day. And then for one of your young men to hand me that rose,
Wow.
she said, I just knew that God was letting me know that my husband was okay and that I'm still loved even though he's gone. So we do that. We've got our Christmas.
That is so good, and I like it that it doesn't really matter. Excuse me. If you know for sure what's going on, because God knows,
Mhm.
and that's probably helping way more people than you're finding out about.
Yeah.
But God knows it, and that's just so good because every holiday can be hard for people.
Be lonely.
Yeah, very, very difficult. We also have our facilitating ministry, which basically is just the building and the budget and all that kind of stuff. God has been very gracious towards us and blessed us greatly at Capital City in the time that I've been there. We've got a large facility now, and with that comes a lot of work that has to be done, and so requires a lot of money too.
Yes, it
and
does.
so I'm fortunate to be able to provide some oversight there. And then our discipleship ministry, which involves our adult studies and small groups and Wednesday night groups, all of those kinds of studies that we do.
Does that include your adult ministry?
It does touch on our adult ministries. A lot of churches have sort of a women's ministry or a men's ministry, and we found that we weren't having a lot of success with those ministries per se. So this coming year, we're just going to lump all of our adult stuff together: men's, women's, senior adults under one category, and from there, hopefully, we're just going to try to look at trying to provide some unique opportunities for our adults to come together, and then out of that, hopefully, start something else.
Well, I kind of like that. So it's just not a women's ministry or a men. You're combining them together so the husband and wife could come, or so it's mixed. So it's not
It can be
something-
husband and wife. It can be families.
The whole family.
There are a lot of ministries out there now, or programs that you can do for moms and dads and their kids.
Yes. And they
Blended
need
families,
that
all
right
kinds
now.
of stuff. Yeah.
The families need that because sometimes women can't come because there's no one to watch the children, or they may be a single.
Right. Single mom with kids, and she's got to have some help along that line.
So under this adult ministries, I want to talk about this. You have divorce care.
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, divorce care actually falls under our compassion ministry, which is an area that we call our support ministries. And right now we have 3 of them. They're held on Wednesday nights. Right now they're all done, so we'll be taking a break till the first of the year with them. They run anywhere from 9 weeks to 13 weeks. But divorce care was a ministry that we started probably 12 or 15 years ago. It wasn't new to us.
Right.
We as in most churches, we stole the material from the group that put it together. But there was a great organization out there that put this material together. It's a 13-week course. It's DVD driven, but it relies on the top people in marital relations and divorce scenario kind of things. So you're looking at some of the high-profile counselors and,
Right.
and Christian speakers and authors.
Right.
And so,
Of course, let me ask you this question on this divorce care. Now, on the divorce care, is that for people that's divorced or thinking about getting a divorce or been divorced or what?
yes.
All of it.
It meets all of them.
So I'm not, but let's say Libby. So if Libby and her
Which is not an
husband were
option.
thinking about getting a divorce, then they could come there.
They could. Probably not going to be a great spot for both of them to be in, but at least for one or the other to come.
Okay, I understand.
You know, it hopefully, you know, in there sometimes they can find some respite
Right.
from our person
So
who's
this
leading
just it just isn't for people that's divorced.
It's not just for people that are divorced. You're right.
Okay.
You know, we've had people who were on the verge of divorce
Right.
and then came to it and got a different perspective on their relationship that they were having with their spouse, and so that caused them to be able to, you know, step out of the situation for a few moments.
Now, do you have to be a member of the church?
You do not. No.
Okay, so I just want to say this. If you're out there right now and, you know, you're having a hard time in your marriage, and come to this, because you know what? I've been married 29 years, and I can't say that it's all just been, you know, a great piece of pie. Right. And you know what? Sometimes we need help.
Yeah.
So I'd encourage you, before you divorce, one of you come to this.
Yeah. We hold it on Wednesday nights. Like I said, our next session will start in January. It's on Wednesday nights. The class, our support ministry classes, runs from 6 to 7:30. So we have a fellowship meal at 5:30 on
Oh, you
Wednesday
get to
nights.
eat?
Yeah, you can come
Oh,
eat.
okay,
It's
great.
it's a little small cost
Maybe
for
we'll
it.
just pretend that we're
So-
having
My husband told me 16 years ago, 2 years into our marriage, divorce is not an option.
Yeah, my
Don't
husband,
even think about it. I
Yeah.
said, okay, then we better figure out how to get along.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, in came Jesus.
Yeah,
There
that's
you
right.
go.
So then you also have the financial peace.
Yeah, that's a Dave Ramsey
Yes, I love him.
class, you know, Financial Peace University. It used to be a 13-week course. They have shrunk that material down to 9 weeks. And again, you know, it's one of those that we started probably 10 or 12 years ago. I can't begin to tell you how many people have come through, the majority of whom are not members of our church, which we, you know, there's no problem with that. We see it as an opportunity to benefit the kingdom.
Yes.
Whether they're church,
Kingdom-minded.
whether they're our family
Yes.
or they're outside the family. And you know, hopefully, if they're not in a church somewhere and they come and check it out, and they may say, well, you know, hey, this is a pretty cool church. You know, they're doing some stuff and they've helped
Right.
us. But our goal is you don't have to be a member of our church to take advantage of the stuff we're doing. And, you know, you don't have to
That's
give.
being,
You don't
that's
have to
being
do.
Christ driven too.
Well, I hope
right
so.
there.
Yeah,
It
I hope
is.
so.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
But
Because
that's another great.
I love the, you know, these times that we're in, people have so much financial issues. And if they would get under the Dave Ramsey, I mean, just the first of his steps would help you just beyond. And then let's talk about this.
Grief Share. Yeah, Grief Share is another one. Again, it's out of the same group that started Divorce Care. We've been doing it for a couple of years now. This is a ministry for those who have lost a loved one. Could be a spouse, could be a child, could be a parent, could be, you know, anybody. And again, it's another 13-week course, DVD driven, put together by some of the leading experts on grief and recovery from grief. And
Do you know who teaches that?
we have, well, there's 13 different teachers.
Oh.
They use 13 different people throughout the course of the
Okay,
study.
that's good.
And we have, you know, it's somebody from within our church family that's the facilitator of each of these support ministries.
And they just
that we do.
researched and compiled this material
Yeah.
to suit the needs of this
Yeah,
program.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I want to say, you know, if you're having marriage problems, if you're having financial problems, if you're having grief
It's
problems,
grief, yes.
I mean, get involved here. I mean, this church seems to really have a lot. They are Christ driven, and so
And you don't have to be a member.
you don't have
Yeah.
to be a member. And if you want to come and be one, you can. And if you don't, you can still take advantage of the things that they have.
So there's no fee for these. They're
There
free.
is
There
a
is
small fee, but it's not because we make money off of it. It's just what the materials cost us.
Okay.
So the Divorce Care Workbook and the Grief Share Workbook are $20 a piece, and that's what we pay for them. But if we've got people who need help, we provide assistance to them financially.
Can't, you know.
Yeah, we provide, that's not a problem. We've got scholarship money that we can help with that. The financial piece is a little more expensive. I think it's like $90 or $93 to do that. But once you become a member, you can, whenever, you can go as many times as you want.
Right.
You can go this year and then you can come back 10 years and there's
And
no
I'm
fee.
gonna say with the Financial Peace University, that $99 will be the best $99 you
Oh, yeah.
ever spent to be taught about your finances.
Yeah, I think
Because
that,
he's a Christian man, and it's just a wonderful program.
I think they, if I remember correctly, they'll tell you that the people who take the course will save in the 13 weeks that it takes to go through the course, and now down to 9. So in that 9 to 13 week, the people who take it and apply the principles that Ramsey has put together will save somewhere between $2,000 to $3,000 in that short time period.
Mm-hmm. That's
Wow.
wonderful.
So yeah, and of course
Spend $99 to get to a 3,000.
So
Great.
the investment, and as you often find, if people will invest something, then they're going to be more willing to come.
Yes,
If they
that's right.
if they don't make an investment in it, then they may come the first week and then never show back up again.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you know what? One time I was at your church and I loved it. You at the end, I don't know what the sermon was about now, but they preached, and at the end we went out with the song "Taking It to the Street."
Oh, okay. That was when we did a service down in the gym.
Yes,
Yeah,
we're down
yeah,
yes, I just love that when they'd come out and they ended it with taking it out, taking it to the streets, because that's what you wanted people to do.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
With the 24/7, take it out to the streets, the gospel.
Exactly. Yeah, we're one of our main focal points that we've had this past year and will continue to be is that we need to be missional. And so many times in our churches today, it's almost like okay, we're here, now you come to us. But that's not what Jesus said. Mm-hmm. Jesus didn't say sit and let them come to you. Jesus said go.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's another thing that we're trying to stress with our people, that we need them to be going. We need them to be doing. Not come and see, but go and do.
Make a difference.
And make a difference in your community.
My crew's making me laugh over there.
Okay.
So I'm not laughing at that. So I know Capital City. I've been there some, not a lot, but I can tell you it's a nice church. It's a big church, but you still feel at home. I go there sometimes to walk. They even have a gym that if you want to walk in the winter, you can come there and sign in and walk. And of course, you're not going to have the Andy Griffin thing anymore.
No, Christmas in Mayberry has been shut down.
That's
So
the first time
I love
I've been there.
that.
My husband took me to see
Oh, was
that.
it?
That was
And we
beyond. So
loved
maybe
it.
someday, give Frankfurt hope. Maybe someday you might bring it back.
I maybe.
Okay, that's
Maybe
all.
maybe
Yeah.
something new will come out.
Yeah.
We're this year I think we just decided to let
just need to rest.
it lay
Right.
down this year, and I don't know what'll happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right now it's just sort of special performances or special appearances every now and then.
Yeah, well,
You'll
you
see
all
the
had
characters.
the Duck Dynasty man.
We did a couple of years ago, had
Uh-huh.
Jace Robertson just before Duck Dynasty hit it big.
Yes.
We had Jace in to speak for our sportsman's dinner, and
Yeah, you have
we-
a big sportsman dinner where you
We
have
do.
different, and
We've
you're
got
an
that a couple
avid
years.
hunter. And
Love
so
hunting.
listen, if you're out there, and my husband is a hunter, and he used to think when you went to church there wouldn't be anybody hunting. But I found out there's more hunters in church
Yeah.
than anything.
Oh yeah.
But Libby, I'm going to let you ask your famous question.
Oh.
So,
Yes.
Should I be worried?
excuse me. I didn't-
No, maybe, yeah, maybe. Because my husband and I had an unusual story how we got started in the ministry. So it always intrigues me when I find out how did you know? How did you know that God was calling you to what you're doing? I know you said you've been in the ministry for 26 years.
28, wasn't it?
Well, actually, I've been at Capital City 26.
Oh.
I have been. I went to Bible college in 1983, so that's 31 years ago. I guess when
31
I
years.
first went into
But you know, it
Decided.
marks your conscience. I
Mhm.
mean, you never forget that moment when God just impressed on you that you were His
Yeah.
and you were going to be serving Him. When did you know that was real for you?
You know, I was a kid that grew up in church, even though my parents had it was a very rough marriage for my parents. But even through it all, my mom made sure that my sisters and I were in church. My dad never discouraged us from going to church, but my dad was not a church goer. My dad was a believer. He'd grown up in a church home. His parents, my grandparents, who I thought the world of, were heavily involved in my home church. And so through my early childhood, early elementary, I saw a lot of stuff that as a kid probably shouldn't have seen. My dad was an alcoholic. My dad unfortunately ran around on my mom quite a bit, and there were times when I was with him.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't know what my dad was doing.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
7, 8 years old. I didn't know what my dad was doing when we were
Bystander.
stopping off at somebody else's house.
Yeah.
Just
And
visiting.
yeah. And into my middle school years, getting ready for high school, I had a youth minister who really impressed upon me the impact I could have, and even though I sort of fought against it, sort of pushed against it, finally, I guess my sophomore year, my parents had divorced. I had spent about a month and a half away from my mom, living with my dad, who was actually living at his parents, my grandparents. So I was actually living with my grandparents and not my dad, because of all the stuff going on in his life. And this youth minister, his name was Doug Hardman, a dear friend of mine still today, got me to realize, John, God can use you, and He can take the stuff that has happened in your life and use it to touch some other student. Because like I said, being the child of an alcoholic parent, being a child of divorce, my dad was never abusive, anything like that. Verbally a little bit, but nothing, bad or that would have caused it to have gotten out of hand. But he helped me to see that, hey, maybe God can use you. And so he really encouraged me to look at youth ministry. And so then in 1983, I went off to Bible college. I left my home in Virginia. That's originally where I'm from. Came to school at Grayson, Kentucky Christian College. Ended up graduating from there. And started in youth ministry over in a little church in Cynthiana, Kentucky, called Connorsville. Yeah.
That's good.
And then I moved here in 1989 as the youth minister and have been here ever since.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, believe it or not,
26 years.
guys, time's running out. Yes, it is. So, John, we would like for you just to look in the camera for a few minutes and just pour your heart out to Frankfurt and just tell them what you'd like Frankfurt to know about Capital City Christian.
Well, I thank you gals for allowing us to come and be a part and to share about Capital City. Like I said, I'm not originally from Frankfurt. Virginia was home for me, but I've been in Frankfurt now longer than I've lived anywhere in my life. 18 years old, I left home to come to Kentucky, and I've been based in Kentucky ever since, and I love Frankfurt. There's a part of me that still would love to go back to Salem and live there, but my parents have both passed away, and my grandparents are all gone. My sisters have all moved away, so there's really not much there for me. But I love this community. I love that my daughters have been able to grow up here, students at the Christian Academy, now students at Franklin County High School, and now I have one that's a freshman at the University of Kentucky, which, being a North Carolina Tar Heel fan, it makes it really tough.
I knew you'd throw that in somewhere in there.
I tell them all the time when I come back from the UK campus, I'm like, I need to take a bath.
You're going to be in trouble by a lot of people. Go on.
My church family, they know it already.
Okay.
But I think I'm just honored to be able to be a part of Capital City. I tell people all the time, in spite of what God, in spite of who He has to work with, God's doing some great stuff at Capital City. Yeah. And I've seen it in the 26 years I've been there. When I first came here, the church was running about 225, 250 people. And God brought us through some crazy stuff in the early 90s and brought our senior minister to us that we have now, Dr. Steve Pattison. And Doc has just done a great job. We've assembled a great staff. Our people have been open to the stuff that we're doing. They've given to help us, make the changes that we need and build the buildings that we need. And, I love being a part of the church there at Capital City and the work that we're doing. And, the things that we try to stress to people, we realize we're not going to be a church for everybody.
That's right. And
if not us, then go find someplace.
That's good.
Go to a church somewhere. It doesn't matter to us where it is. We just want you going. But if you are going to come to Capital City, there's sort of three things that we're really trying to push right now. One is we want you to worship. We want you to be in worship. Yes. We believe so importantly that it's so important for a person to be in worship on the weekends. Because there we connect with family, we connect with God in a corporate way. Yes. I know some people talk about doing it themselves, and that makes it extremely tough. So we want you to worship, we want you to serve, we want you to find a place to serve.
Good. I like that.
Hopefully in our church, if not in our church, then at least out in the community. Let's be spreading God's word in the community by serving. And then the third one is grow. God has called us all to grow, and you don't stop maturing as a Christian. No. You never get to that point. You never arrive. You read all through in Scripture. None of those guys, and as close as they were to Jesus, and as they walked in, they didn't stop growing. Right. They continued to grow. Yes. And I just love seeing our older people at Capital City who are continuing to grow, continuing to want to develop their relationship with Christ, because they're making a difference, even in their families and then in the young people who come to Capital City and call it home.
Well, praise God. We've got to close it down. Our time is out. We love you. God bless.
Thank you.